Hi, writers. Mrs. Johnson and I absolutely loved reading how you guys plan to adapt or change your fairy tales. You guys have such creative, amazing ideas, and I cannot wait to see these fairy tales come to life. So far, we've learned a lot of different things just without even actually writing our fairy tales yet. We learned different ways authors adapt fairy tales. For example, you can change the characters, you can change important items, you can change the events, you can change the setting, you can change the characters' wants, motivations, and wishes, which is what I said I'm especially going to do in my adaptation. So now it's finally a really exciting day because it's time to start actually writing these fairy tales. And we know to write a fairy tale adaptation, there's a few things we need to do. So first of all, we need to know the classic fairy tale and tell it often. Remember, if you forget either the Little Red Riding Hood or Cinderella, you can go back and watch the read-alouds I did of them. Then remember, you need to decide on a change that's going to really improve the story and make it better. Remember, I gave the example that I'm adapting Cinderella, but I want it to be more empowering for girls. So I am going to have the change where Cinderella is trying to find a vaccine or a cure for COVID-19. Then remember, it's really important that that change leads to other changes in the story so the whole story fits together. We also started to talk about how your character needs to have traits and wants. And then, of course, it's a fairy tale. They're gonna have to run into trouble. Then remember when I had my storytelling booklet and I said how most fairy tales follow scenes or small moments? Well, yours needs to do the same. And then today, what we're going to talk about is to really get ready to write. It really helps to storytell or act out your story, especially the first scene, to get those lifelike details and really make sure you are writing a lot. So today I want to remind you that when you rehearse for your writing, it helps not just to come up with a say, but to really make the story a lot stronger. You need to act it out. So if you storytell or act out your story, that rehearsal really helps bring that story to life. So let me show you what I mean. So I want to start writing my story of Cinderella. And I haven't come up with a name yet, but that's okay. So each of you are going to have a template like this, and you'll put your fairy tale title if you already have it, and your name. If you don't have it yet, that's okay. Then you'll do your setup speech. So this is where you give that background information. So for example, in the original classic Cinderella, they tell us the background where that Cinderella lives with her two evil stepsisters and her evil stepmom at a home, and she has to do all the work. Or how in Little Red Riding Hood, they give the backstory that there was this little girl who wore Red Riding Hood all the time, and how her grandmother was sick, and she went to go deliver the things to her grandmother. That's the best setup speech, the background, so everybody has it. So you'll write your setup speech. Some people like to go back and do that. I like to go back and do that because I like to get right into the story and talk about my first small moment. Now, writing fairy tales is a lot like when we wrote narratives. And remember, we want to elaborate and include lots of details. And like I mentioned earlier, to help us do that, it helps to rehearse or act out your story. So before I begin writing, I'm going to picture it in my mind and literally act it out. So in my mind, I'm picturing Cinderella at home. Remember, my story has to be a little bit more modern because it's present day and they're coming up with a vaccine. So instead of like sweeping the ashes, I'm going to have her like folding laundry or something for her stepsisters. All right, so remember, we're going to act it out. One cold, rainy March day, the wind whipping, Cinderella was folding a huge mound of laundry. Oh, I hate doing laundry. It takes all day. Cinderella could hear her stepsisters watching their favorite shows in the background, reading books, baking banana bread. Oh, another piece. Ding dong! Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Cinderella hears it, assuming one of her sisters will get it. You lazy girl, go get the doorbell and the mail. Yes, sister. Cinderella trudgingly walks to go get the mail. It's a letter. Give me that. You don't deserve to touch our mail. It's from the town. Dear residents. And then I can go in and start explaining what the letter says. But do you see how I acted it out to see what they would be saying and what they'd be doing in their actions to help me write the story? So that's how it would start. So I could say, and remember, I'm not writing my whole thing. This is just an example. Cinderella sat with her legs crossed, folding a mountain of laundry. While she listened to her sisters in the kitchen, baking banana bread, watching their favorite shows, and blasting music. Cinderella yearned to be a part of it, but no, her sisters would never allow it. See how I'm adding every little detail here? Ding dong! Let's see if this loads first. There we go. So Cinderella sat with her legs crossed, folding a mountain of laundry, while she listened to her sisters in the kitchen, baking banana bread, watching their favorite shows, and blasting music. Cinderella yearned to be a part of it, but knew her sisters would never allow it. Ding dong! The doorbell rang. Go get the door, you lazy girl, shouted her one sister, Mildred. I gotta give a name that sounds not friendly or nice. Okay. Cinderella walked slowly towards the door. See how I'm really stretching this out? Cinderella walked slowly towards the door. She creaked the door open to get the mail. There was a letter that was in a big white envelope with crisp edges. Remember, we want to add those details so someone can picture it. Give me that, her other sister. I'm gonna have to come up with a name. Her other sister said as she snatched the envelope out of her hands. And then I would continue on. But remember, I acted this out first before I wrote it. And then I could continue on. Give me that, her other sister said as she snapped the envelope. Sorry. This is official business. You have no room for this. Scatter! Cinderella scattered off, but listened around the corner. See how I'm like picturing my mind, and then I could go and write it. So I want you guys to do the same. Before you begin writing today, I want you to act it out. Act out your fairy tale. Act it out to a sibling, act it out to a family member, act it out for your pets, act it out by yourself like I did with your dogs looking at you in the background like you're crazy. Whatever works for you. So remember, writers, before you begin writing, you need to act it out, story tell it, to really add those details. So your job today is to not only do that, but you're going to have your own slide template. And like I did, I would really like you to strive today to work on your setup speech. Remember, that's where you give that background information, and that first small moment. Kind of introduce the story. Tell me the first scene, that first small moment. But remember to stretch it out, okay? All right. Please let me know if you have any questions. I am so excited that you guys are getting started and working on this.